Hello everybody, Oliver G here. This is the Earful Tower podcast, and as I'm sure you have probably seen online, Notre Dame reopened over the weekend to a lot of, pomp and circumstance and ceremony. It was quite the touching show, if you ask me. But I'm sure that your feeds, your social media, your news feeds, everything has been filled with what was going on there. So I want to look ahead. I want to look at what next for Notre Dame, what now for Notre Dame. And I went down there right before it opened, and I spoke to two people. I spoke to Ariel Weil, who is the mayor of Paris Centre, which means the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th arrondissements. He's been in there already a bunch of times. He was there. I saw him on TV at the big unveiling, and he stopped to have a little chat about what it looks like inside and what's coming up. After that, I spoke to Bertrand, who is the co-founder of My Private Paris. They do private tours of Paris and beyond, and they are sponsoring this whole season of the podcast, and he gave some great insight into what you can expect as visitors to Notre Dame over the next year. Incidentally, we recorded both of these interviews on video camera, so you'll be able to see it as well if you like on YouTube, the Eiffel Tower's YouTube channel. Otherwise, let's get straight into it with Ariel, Monsieur le Maire of Paris Centre, talking about Notre Dame. I'll be back at the end to share some final thoughts. Ariel Weil, the mayor of the 1, 2, 3, 4. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. I'm actually a little moved now as we get closer to the ceremony.
Yeah, I mean, I remember you and I did a podcast episode right after Notre Dame burned down. You were right there standing with, I think you were with Macron and Hidalgo and
Yeah, I was there. I mean, way before the president came to the town and the island. I actually walked that bridge. I ran that bridge as I saw the fire, and Mayor Hidalgo came with me, and we were there from the very beginning of that night. Right,
and so now if we fast forward 5.5 years, the big question is what now? Not so much what now tonight, but what now for Notre Dame?
Well, first of all, it's a great success that we're able to open to the public from now on. But it's not over. The cathedral is going to be built on, is going to be worked on for the next probably few years.
A few hundred years, I thought you were going to say.
And yeah, well, it took 140 years, I think, to build in the first scratch, and then it was rebuilt a few times.
Right.
But now it's not going to be over. And also, we're going to start that big construction site that I'm very, very excited about the project of the surroundings of Notre Dame.
I've seen you talk about this. You're talking about the front, the parvis out the front.
Yeah, you can see a little glimpse of, we've already started that project with the porch of Notre Dame. You can see the beautiful new stones there, and that's the beginning of that project that's going to redo all the surroundings. We're going to plant trees, going to make connections to the Seine River. We're going to have true, real facilities for up to, 15 million visitors a year.
Is that what you're expecting, 15
million? That's the number one site. Even before the fire, it was the number one site, way before the Eiffel Tower, just ahead of the museum, the Louvre Museum.
Right.
The Notre Dame is the most visited monument.
And it's right in your arrondissement.
Yes, so it's the Louvre now.
Oh, wow, yeah. Now I want to talk about, and I know you're busy, I'll keep it brief, but you've been inside. You've seen what everybody wants to see. Can you paint a picture for us and the listeners' viewers?
Sure. I mean, imagine a white page. It's all white. I think the president said blonde, the blondness of the stones.
Right.
But it's really so clear and white that I keep thinking that no one has ever seen it that way. No one alive, and maybe no one dead either, because I'm not sure there was a state in the past 800 years, when the stones were, because as I said, they built it over 140 years, so by the time they finished that first stretch, probably was already dark.
Yeah.
And I think everyone has this image, whether it's memory, as in my case, or it's built-up memory from the movies and from the even Disney movie. You see the dark, gothic, medieval church, and it was pretty dark inside also.
Yeah.
And I also have that memory of the night of the fire. towards 1, 2 a.m., we did go inside, just the president, his wife, the mayor of Paris, and me. We were probably like less than 10 people.
Right.
We did walk inside. There was so much water and debris, and it was all dark. There was no light, obviously. And I remember that picture, and now I'm connecting it to the picture of Notre Dame, as bright, as light as it's ever been.
What a lovely
in
thought.
the 100 years that are before us. And I'm thinking, wow, that's new. Maybe it's too new for people. I'm sure there are all going to be critics who said, well, it was never like that.
But that's, it's been like that for everything new in Paris ever. Last question. What bit that you've seen was the most, like the thing that made you just go like, wow, the most when you're in there?
Well, to me, I think the most exciting thing is to see the colors again. So forget the whiteness and the cleanliness. It's the colors that have started to be put back on some of the decors. I'm thinking the chapels, and that is a sort of a finding of historians that, hey, even in the medieval times they liked colors.
Yeah.
We have that image of gray and dark tones, but in fact they loved colors, and we're seeing the true colors come up again, come out again, and that is amazing. It's like a feeling of traveling in the past.
I love it. The true colors of traveling through time with Notre Dame. Thank you, Ariel Weil.
Thank you very much.
Good luck tonight, and thanks for being on the show.
Well, yeah, I'm excited that people out of around the globe and on the other side, actually down under, right, are watching us or hearing us.
Absolutely, yes.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Bertrand from My Private Paris. Big question here. What now for Notre Dame?
Well, everything restarts, I'd say.
Yeah.
Back to 3 masses a day and 5 on Sundays, including 1 in Latin. I know you're good in Latin. We saw that in past episodes.
Salve, yeah.
Salve, yes. Back to being open 8 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Okay, so practically similar to before, the same as before.
Yes, very, very, very much the same.
Okay.
They have worked very hard into making things back to normal.
Right. And as I understand from the outside, we shouldn't notice any difference whatsoever.
Not at all. That's the beauty and a bit of the, I'd say, not the sadness, it's the pride of the 2,000 people who worked on it. It's to give back Notre Dame to how it was.
Except I heard that the head, one of the head guys that put his own face on a...
Yes, actually most of the people, especially the carpenters and the mason, have left little tracks, little mark on here in the stone, on the timber, etc. And the lead architect, one of the gargoyle on the spire, has his face on it.
Right. I was going to say a lot of the...
It's very high, so unless you know, no one will see it.
I was going to say a lot of the gargoyles look like you or me, but we'll take that.
Especially you.
But I think what's more interesting perhaps is the interior.
Definitely.
Because I know that you've been to Notre Dame countless times. If you're talking to someone who visited 5-10 years ago, and now they're coming back, what's changed for them?
The light. Honestly, this fire, now that everything has been remade, probably was a blessing, because during these 5 years, not only they have rebuilt the roof, but the whole cathedral has been cleaned as it had never been cleaned since the 1850s.
Houseman time.
Houseman times.
Yeah, okay. So then I saw some video of it looked like dirt and soot and stuff like this, like 10 centimeters of...
A bit of it was due to the fire.
Of course, yeah.
But a bit of it.
Yeah.
Most of it was due to 150 years of just time passing by, dust, we breathing, the candles burning, etc. And so they have used an amazing technique. They have sprayed latex on the walls in the entire, all of the cathedral.
Right.
And they peeled it off like a facelift.
Like a face mask, you mean? They
pulled out the dirt
and
discovered that under the dirt, the paint that was repainted during the restoration of the 1850s was still there. It was hidden by the dirt. So when people will go in, not only they will see a shining bright golden cathedral. It's not white. Sometimes on TV it looks white, but it's really golden.
Okay.
Blonde, we say for the stone. But they will also see the paint in the 24 chapel that are fully painted. They're not repainted. That's something we're going to tell them a lot. This paint, it's not just been painted. They have just cleaned the dirt on this paint that dates back to the 1850s.
Was the 1850s when they put that new spire on?
Yes.
So exactly. That's Viollet-le-Duc was there.
Viollet-le-Duc, exactly.
So him and Haussmann were kicking around at the same time then?
Yes, he started a little bit before Haussmann,
right?
Because he started under the Louis-Philippe regime, and he continued throughout the Haussmannian period.
You know, like when I saw the images from inside, what I thought was this is going to be huge, like a huge draw card for Paris, because it was. I haven't been in yet, but it looks so stunning that it wouldn't surprise me if people travel around the world just to see Notre Dame, which hadn't maybe been happening as much.
It happens every day. We receive emails for that. People say, "Can we go now?"
There you go.
So we'll book a flight.
That's the next sort of the next topic is for tourism. This is going to be huge. People coming to Paris wanting to see. How does that tie into what you guys do at My Private Paris? Are you going to be offering tours, or you're not allowed to?
Yes.
What's the story?
Well, we're as guides, professional guides, we're not allowed to give live commentaries inside the cathedral up until the day after Pentecost, which means 6 months after the reopening, June the 9th. Yeah. Because the diocese, so the church, want to keep these 6 months for worshippers.
Right.
But after that, we'll be every day, twice a day, 3 times a day.
So people at home, if you're looking to book a tour, don't even bother yet.
We do, I mean, in the past 5 years, we've done a lot of tours that would include Notre Dame, just not the inside.
Okay, yeah.
And usually we combine it with smaller churches that you may know, like Saint-Julien-le-Pauvre or Saint Severin on the other side, the Saint Chapelle.
I still haven't seen this one. We need to go and do an exploration. What about for you personally, as a Paris lover? What are you most excited about in this new version of Notre Dame?
Being back in it for 5 minutes anytime I want.
Yeah.
I mean, guiding in it is great, but on a professional level.
Yeah.
But just popping in, as I used to. I started my career as a guide there.
Yeah.
My daughter was born 2 days before it burned.
Oh wow!
And so there's a lot of personal attachment to it.
Right.
And I can't wait to share it, but I would say even more, I can't wait to have it for myself.
To keep it to yourself. Yeah. The last question I want to ask, because it's important to me, is the top bit where you climb up and look at the view of Paris.
Yes.
Yeah, well, see, after the fire, I realized that I'd never been up there, and
really?
Yeah, I've just always been like, I'll do it another time, and that's why I started these bucket lists I do every year, things that I really want to do in Paris that you shouldn't.
That was great.
Yeah,
that was great. They are reorganizing the touring or circuit, the road. And so most probably we'll start by the southern tower instead of the north, but it doesn't really matter. But they say they expect to be ready for the summer of 25.
Summer of 2025, okay.
We'll see, yeah.
Okay. Well, that sounds like something to look forward to.
Very much so.
For everybody at home looking for something to look forward to, Notre Dame, now's the time to do it. You're going to be bowled over, I think, by the interior. That's at least what I'm expecting. If you're going to do a private tour, check My Private Paris.
Merci.
And maybe if you get Bertrand, especially...
you'll see I'll have more goosebumps than you do when we do these tours.
That's what I like to hear. Thank you very much for sharing your knowledge, as always.
Merci, Oliver.
So there you have it. The music that you heard throughout this episode was from Press Maxon, who incidentally I met with on the same day that Notre Dame reopened. We had a coffee in Le Peloton, and it was really nice to see him again. So he's been doing the music that you hear on this show. And as for the interviews, Bertrand and Ariel providing some great insight. My own 2 cents, for what it's worth. The interior of the Notre Dame looks so stunning, and I can't wait to get in there. I highly recommend, in fact I'll link in the show notes, but I highly recommend you go back and listen to some of the other Notre Dame stuff we've done over the years. Personally, I can't wait to get back in there, and as usual, I'll be sharing it with everybody. Thanks so much for listening to this episode. Make sure you check it out on YouTube as well. Thank you to My Private Paris for partnering up with me for this season. Please go and check out their tours for anything you want to do in the city of Paris. Thanks to all the Patreon and Substack members for helping this show improve. And thanks to everybody for listening, quite simply. I'll be back again with more next week. Au revoir.